Part 1. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 1. Grandpa, Zhang Cheng has been received. We are ready to go back now. Come back soon, don't wait too long. Well, I understand. Sitting in a Rolls-Royce Phantom, Zhang Cheng looked at the stunning woman in front of him on the phone with a confused expression. Am I going to die? How, where is this? Zhang Cheng's heart was filled with questions. Wasn't he about to die? Why, as soon as I opened my eyes, I arrived in a strange place. Buzz. Suddenly, Zhang Cheng's mind was agitated, and a strange memory was forced into his mind. It took me a long time to get used to it in the car. The president of Zhang Group failed to invest and is in desperate situation. Shocking. A leading company with a market value of 230 billion declared bankruptcy overnight. Jiang's group filed for bankruptcy, and the country's takeover of the Zhang Group is in ruins. Countless pieces of important information entered Zhang Cheng's mind. He sat in astonishment until this huge memory was digested. There was a trace of horror hidden deep in his eyes. Not only did I not die, I traveled through time. Or did he travel back in time to an online novel that he read out of boredom when he was in school? But Zhang Cheng was not happy. Because his identity in time travel is not to be the protagonist in this book. Instead, he became the fiancé of a villainous female CEO. This amazing transformation made Zhang Cheng almost swallow his tongue. You know, the villainous female CEO family in this book will not end well at all in the subsequent plot. A multi-billion-dollar company that had been working hard for 3 generations was wiped out by an orphaned college student who fell into a cliff while traveling and unexpectedly received the inheritance from the medical god of ancient times. It became the wedding dress for the rise of the orphan protagonist. He still remembered that the name of the book was The Almighty Medical God of the Beautiful CEO. It was a story about a male protagonist who received an inheritance and fell in love with a beautiful CEO. It is also the most common routine in novels. No matter how good-looking the villain is, he is still a jerk in the eyes of the protagonist. The content of the story is actually very simple. It is a cool article written around a female CEO and the male protagonist who is a medical god. Zhang Cheng's current identity is just the president of a billion-dollar group that just went bankrupt and is now penniless. He was taken back by the family of the early villain female CEO and became a son-in-law. Everyone looked down upon him. The more Zhang Cheng thought about it, the more frightened he became. I am a successful person after all, so I can just travel to the world of novels when I am about to die. I can't stand it even if I'm not the protagonist. But this son-in-law status. Mud. I can't bear it anymore. Although he can live another life, it does not mean that he will continue to follow the development of the plot. Did he come across time just to be a stepping stone for others? The expression on his face kept changing. Zhang Cheng glanced at the villain female CEO sitting on the other side with the corner of his eye. This is the woman who will be his fiancée. At this moment, Zhang Cheng felt so tired. He thought a lot while lying on the hospital bed. I feel that I should not be too busy and should enjoy life. As a result, I still have to be busy after traveling through time. Now that Jiang's family is bankrupt, he is penniless. If he wants to rise again, it is equivalent to starting from scratch. However, he is familiar with the various successful investment projects of the protagonist and heroine in the whole story, so it won't be too difficult. And now he is going to the Su family compound to report. According to the plot of the original book, he will now be taken to the Su family, treated well by Mr. Su, and then handed to the female CEO next to him. Raise him as a son-in-law. Zhang Cheng looked out the window at the corner of the city that flashed by while the car was driving. There is still a big gap between it and the magic city in the real world. While he was thinking complicatedly, a cold mechanical voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding! The villain system has been activated. The villain gift pack has arrived and has been stored in the backpack. Please check it yourself. As this voice sounded, something like an attribute panel for an online game character suddenly appeared in Zhang Cheng's mind. Lines of data are displayed on the panel. System, Villain System. Host, Zhang Cheng. Wealth, 66.29 yuan. Villain value, 0 points. Backpack, Villain gift pack. Attributes, Constitution, 100. Strength, 104. Reactions, 109. Speed, 95. Charisma, 149. Note, the standard for a normal adult male is 100, and the maximum charm value is 149, full. Skills, cooking, intermediate, shooting, beginner, fighting, beginner, English, advanced. This is the system. Zhang Cheng was stunned. Then my heart shook wildly. Having read many system novels, he naturally knew about the existence of the system. As for whether the system would harm him, Zhang Cheng didn't have to worry about anything. I am an ordinary person, what does the system see in me? To harm yourself. But, looking at the interface of the system, it seems that it can only display your personal data and has no other complete functions. Then, he set his sights on the system backpack. Seeing the villain gift pack icon flashing above, Zhang Cheng muttered silently. Open. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 2. Ding. The villain gift bag has been opened successfully. Congratulations to the host for receiving the following rewards. Congratulations on receiving the reward, 1.5 billion cash reward. Note, the balance has been transferred to the account under the host's name through secure channels and can be used with confidence. Congratulations on receiving the reward, the Skill Suit Thug. Note, Introduction to the Skill Suit Thug. Want to perform a perfect violent aesthetic? After putting on the suit, the host's own attributes are temporarily increased by 50%, and the suit thug is activated, unlocking all top-level skills related to combat, such as fighting, advanced, martial arts, advanced, and firearms proficiency, advanced, which are higher than the 149 charm value range. Automatically transforms into temperament, turning violence into an aesthetic, which is so pleasing to the eye. After reading the introduction of the system's villain gift pack rewards, Zhang Cheng took a deep breath. Although there are only 2 rewards, they are very practical. Money, fighting power. Ding. The villain system prompts. The host can increase the villain value by plundering the opportunities that belong to the protagonist and heroine in the original book, or guide the fiancée Suyao, or change the plot that has been set in the book, etc., and can obtain villain value rewards. The villain value can be used to increase attribute points, or it can be exchanged for experience points needed to upgrade skill levels. 100 villain points can improve attributes by 1 point, and 10,000 experience points can be obtained for skill upgrades. The way to obtain villain value is to rob the protagonist of opportunities. This is a very direct explanation. Zhang Cheng must confront the protagonist. But he had no resistance. Zhang Cheng, get off the car, we're here. A cold voice sounded, pulling Zhang Cheng back. After he understood almost everything, Zhang Cheng logged out of the system. Zhang Cheng turned his head and glanced at Suyao, whose appearance was close to perfect, but the latter did not look at him. After parking the car, the driver immediately went to the back seat and opened the door. Suyao stepped out of the car. Although the Su family compound covers an area of 2,000 square meters, only Su Hanhai lives here. Zhang Cheng followed Suyao and walked without saying a word. My mind was racing. The process of meeting Su Hanhai later will definitely be exactly the same as what is written in the novel. Of course, that's assuming he doesn't spoil the plot. Soon, Zhang Cheng followed Su Yao to a Chinese-style villa. Opening the door, the two of them walked in. In the innermost part of the spacious living room, an old man sat at the head table, drinking a cup of tea. He held a book in his hand and read it with relish. The sound of the two entering the door did not pull him out of his book. Until Su Yao walked behind the old man and said softly, "Grandpa, Zhang Cheng is here." The sound is like an aureole emerging from the valley, clear and sweet. Although Su Yao's stunning little face looks very cold, her temperament is also very intimidating. But Zhang Cheng had to admit that such a woman made men feel conquered, but most of them would be defeated by her momentum before they even got close. When Su Hanhai heard this, he put down the book in his hand and looked up at the two of them, with a smile on his wrinkled old face. "Everyone, take a seat." After hearing this, the two of them sat on the wooden chairs opposite Su Hanhai. "Has Xiao Cheng been in a better mood these days?" Su Hanhai asked with some concern on his face. "Zhang Cheng. What about your uncle? In my memory, I haven't slept for several days, and even his bone-deep exhaustion brought me back." Regarding Su Hanhai's thoughts, Zhang Cheng, who has watched the entire plot, naturally knows what he wants to do. However, now that he is the person involved, he cannot directly attack him. After all, he will have to stay in the Su family for a while. A touch of emotion appeared on Zhang Cheng's tired face. "Thank you, Grandpa Su, for your concern. I'm in good condition." "Well, that's good. I feel very sorry for what happened to your family." Su Hanhai nodded, seeming to be very sorry that he couldn't help. Zhang Cheng felt a little amused as he watched the old guy in front of him acting. If someone who had suffered a major blow saw him like this, they might actually believe him, and it would be a pity. Although the Su family did not rush to get a piece of the pie after Jiang's collapse, but some of the benefits Su will get later are definitely not small. The Zhang group has too many resources and talents. As long as it falls, many big figures and companies will benefit from it. "Thank you, Grandpa Su, for your concern. I took too big a step. Alas, my ancestors' foundation was suddenly destroyed by me." Zhang Cheng was very regretful and clenched his fists quietly. "Don't be sad. Every company is at risk of bankruptcy all the time. You don't have to blame yourself. Just work hard in the future." Su Hanhai consoled him. "Next, Xiao Cheng, what are your plans?" Seeing that he was getting down to the topic, Zhang Cheng didn't want to make boring digressions with him. He spread his hands and said in a bitter tone, "I don't know what I want to do now. I'm penniless and can't move." Jiang's bankruptcy did not leave him any wealth, but it was good that he was not burdened with huge debts. "Xiao Cheng, do you still remember something?" Su Hanhai asked immediately after seeing Zhang Cheng fall into his trap. Zhang Cheng was confused. "What's the matter?" "I think it's time to fulfill your engagement with Xiaoao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 3. Engagement. I don't think it's necessary. After all, I'm no longer worthy of Miss Su. Zhang Cheng shook his head and refused. Su Hanhai seemed to have anticipated Zhang Cheng's reaction, and a chrysanthemum-like smile bloomed on his old face. "Your father and I have made an engagement for you too. Do you want me to break the engagement?" Su Hanhai pretended to be serious and glared at Zhang Cheng. Hearing this, Zhang Cheng scratched his head, a little embarrassed, and continued following his words. "What do you mean, Grandpa Su? Xiao Cheng, you can stay with Yao first, and the two of you can get in touch with each other. As for you, you can try to start a business again. If things get better, then you and Yao will hold a wedding, and Yao will continue to manage the Su family until a suitable heir appears. If it doesn't work out, then continue with the wedding. Then you will live in my Su family and manage the Su group with Yao." Shenhao said in an orderly manner. Zhang Cheng was a little stunned. He got up and married Su Yao by himself. If he couldn't get up, he would marry into the Su family. The conditions looked very impressive. But in his opinion, it was just like that. She got up and married Su Yao. She still managed the Su family. If you can't get up, you become a son-in-law. He became a pawn of his Su family. In the original book, Su Yao didn't want to get married, so she accepted Zhang Cheng under the arrangement of Su Hanhai. Zhang Cheng also gradually fell into love with the beauty every day, and later became a son-in-law. As for why I fell in love with him, that's entirely because he was once the president of a top group. The connections I know are all top-notch. Once a person falls into despair, these connections will naturally be of no use. But after he merged with the Su family, these connections saw the Su family behind him, and naturally formed another chain of relationships. If Su Yao is asked to find someone to be her husband, the result will be completely different. What connections can an ordinary person have? What benefits can it bring to the Su family? Can it make Su's family reach a higher level? Is the position more secure? Cannot. Let Su Yao get married. She is the president, and the president of a 100 billion group. How many people are worthy of her? Moreover, would Su give away such a talented woman with great business talent? Cannot. Therefore, Zhang Cheng becoming the Su family's son-in-law was not accidental, but inevitable. Su Hanhai's plan was very clever. If the bet loses, Su Hanhai has no loss. If the bet wins, he makes a lot of money. Zhang Cheng glanced at Su Yao aside. She found that she had not changed at all because of Su Hanhai's words. It seems that she also acquiesced in this matter. After pretending to ponder for a long time, Zhang Cheng let out a long breath. Grandpa Su, you have said this, and I have no room to refuse at all. Since you are willing to bet on me, I can't let you down. I agreed. After the last 4 words fell, the light in Su Hanhai's eyes softened a little. The first step is done. As long as Zhang Cheng agrees to his request, his plan will be half successful. If possible, Su Hanhai wouldn't want his granddaughter to be wronged. But among the 2 generations of his descendants, only Su Yao is qualified for a big job. If the rest of the Su family is handed over to them, I am afraid that it will go bankrupt in less than 3 years. As Zhang Cheng said, Jiang's collapse was not because he was bad. On the contrary, he was very talented. It was just that he took too many steps and the company ran out of funds. This huge group collapsed. Okay, Su Hanhai nodded excitedly. Then, Su Hanhai turned to look at Su Yao and said kindly, Yao take Xiao Cheng to pack your things and move to your villa today. Su Yao nodded and said, I know. Looking at Su Yao's reaction, Zhang Cheng felt a little ashamed. This woman really doesn't care at all about this life event. After coming out of the villa compound where Su Hanhai lived, the 2 returned to the car. There was silence all the way to Su Yao's villa. As soon as she entered the door, Su Yao sat on the leather sofa and said coldly, your room is on the 2nd floor, the first one on the left when you go upstairs. Zhang Cheng nodded and didn't care. Also, just like what Grandpa said before, you belong to me now. If you have anything to do, you must report it to me. Zhang Cheng was confused at that time. Damn it, aren't we 2 equals? I am your person, what does that mean? Wait, I think we should be in an equal relationship, right? Su Yao raised her little head proudly. If Jiang's family had not gone bankrupt, of course it would be an equal relationship, but now you are just a son-in-law. Although you have fallen from the altar, I will still respect you. You can continue to try to start a business during the days when we are getting along, so that you and I are still equal. As for now, you'd better lower your head. Zhang Cheng looked at Su Yao quietly. Aloof, strong, and proud. Su Yao is tall and slender, with long straight black hair tied into a ponytail, elegant and cool makeup, and a very intimidating aura. Even if she is sitting quietly on the sofa, Zhang Cheng can feel the charm coming from her. Strong and cold. The two looked at each other for 10 seconds, and then, Su Yao suddenly burst out with a frightening aura. Zhang Cheng, you have to understand the current situation. Even though you and I were once equal, now, under my roof, Su Yao, you must lower your head. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 4. Very domineering. The tone was full of absolute strength, leaving no room for doubt. There was a smile on Su Yao's beautiful face, but Zhang Cheng could clearly feel the sharpness hidden in it. Then what if I don't bow my head? What can you do to me? Zhang Cheng sat on the sofa and grinned. Su Yao raised her head slightly and said directly, then I will force you to bow your head. In your own territory, you, Zhang Chengdu, are already willing to marry into your wife. Is there any room for you to refuse? Zhang Cheng looked at her sideways, and after a moment, he suddenly laughed. Base. Suddenly, Zhang Cheng moved, rushed to Su Yao, and pushed her down. Lowering his head, he was close to Su Yao, and the warm breath of his breath hit her pretty face. His eyes narrowed, exuding a dangerous light. Ah! What are you doing? Su Yao was startled by his actions and shouted quickly. She reached out and pushed Zhang Cheng, but his strength was too strong. No matter how hard Su Yao tried, she couldn't push Zhang Cheng's body away. Su Yao's villa did not hire nannies or bodyguards. In other words, she is now. Let Zhang Cheng slaughter you. Zhang Cheng lowered his head and looked at Su Yao, who was pressed by him on the sofa. Their faces were less than 5 centimeters apart. Miss Su Yao, have you forgotten my name and what I used to do? The words just fell. On Zhang Cheng, a domineering aura that was stronger than hers quietly erupted. The strong momentum and the masculine aura of Zhang Cheng made Su Yao feel a ray of fear rising from deep in her heart. What do you want to do? Su Yao, feeling a little nervous in her heart, suppressed her inexplicable emotions towards Zhang Cheng and said very forcefully. Guess what I will do now that I am alone and alone, Zhang Cheng said quietly. Su Yao, I advise you not to do anything stupid. Even though you and I are known as an unmarried couple, if you mess around, I can still put you in jail for the rest of your life. Zhang Cheng pulled a strand of hair with his hand, let go of her, and sat back on the sofa. Don't be so nervous. Can we talk about things now? Su Yao's tension that had just disappeared was made unhappy by his words again. However, since the current situation was not good for her, she endured it. Zhang Cheng returned to the single sofa, crossed his legs, rested his elbows on the sofa, tilted his handsome face slightly, and said slowly. Let's first walk through what happened. First of all, Grandpa Su and I are talking about your engagement. During this period of time, I can choose to start a business. If it succeeds, I will marry you, not my wife. Unless I accomplish nothing, I will be regarded as marrying into your Su family, right? And then, you didn't refute Grandpa Su's arrangement at the first time, which means you agreed to this condition, then. The relationship between the two of us should be equal now. Miss Su Yao, you seem to have no right to make me surrender to you. After listening to what Zhang Cheng said, Su Yao frowned. Equality. Don't forget that you are living under my protection now. Shouldn't it be a superior subordinate relationship? Zhang Cheng spread his hands and said, hey, okay, I'll go down and you go up, how about that? Okay, in that case. Su Yao was about to say something, but suddenly felt something was wrong. Etc. What he shouldn't have said is. Bah! Dirty. Su Yao immediately understood what Zhang Cheng meant. Her almost flawless face suddenly turned red, and she spat. Look, you don't want to go up or down, So we have an equal relationship, right? Of course, if you are not convinced, you can explain to Grandpa Su and ask him to cancel our engagement. I will not object. Zhang Cheng shrugged his shoulders and made some random puns. You are not unwilling, but I have given you a chance. The relationship between superiors and subordinates is something you are not willing to do. Su Yao raised her brows, but quickly figured it out and compromised. Then we will treat each other as equals, as you said. Thinking of her grandfather's intention to bring her and Zhang Cheng together, Su Yao also bowed her head and gave in. She didn't want to marry anyone else. In comparison, it was better to marry Zhang Cheng. At least it's pleasing to the eye. Seeing that she had compromised, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but smile brightly. In this novel world, the golden finger I have is not the system, but my familiarity with the development of various plots and the character weaknesses of each important character. Zhang Chengdu knows every female supporting character and character who has appeared in the female CEO's Almighty Medical God, their personalities, settings, families, weaknesses, etc. very well. For example, Su Yao is in front of you. In her heart, she likes men who are stronger and smarter than her. In response to this, as long as Zhang Cheng shows more strength and initiative, Su Yao will subconsciously take a step back. At least, his current progress is still very successful. Zhang Cheng stood up again and walked to Su Yao to sit down. A big hand suddenly touched Su Yao's head. Be obedient. Sooner or later you will fall. Miss Su Yao, I'm determined to take you. Zhang Cheng's tone was very gentle, but full of aggression. Su Yao's cheeks turned red. Turning his head, he looked at Zhang Cheng's face, which was a bit weathered and bearded. Even though it was haggard, it had a good looks and temperament that countless women couldn't refuse, even if she didn't have much interest in men. That strong and cold heart couldn't help but beat a little. Don't touch my head, don't I want to lose face. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 5. Sorry, occupational disease. Zhang Cheng's left hand rubbing Su Yao's head couldn't help but stiffen. Then he smiled and got used to it. Every time I see her little head, I can't help but relapse into my old habit of petting cats. Come to the company with me tomorrow and I'll arrange a position for you, Su Yao said again, slapping Zhang Cheng's dirty hands away. No, I won't be free tomorrow. Seeing his refusal, Su Yao was a little confused. You are a lonely person, what else do you have to do? Make money, Zhang Cheng said confidently. As a time traveler, is it possible that he really wants to live a soft life and become a son-in-law? I don't even have the money to buy a house now. If I don't make money, will I wait to die? Zhang Cheng now only has 66 yuan in cash. Jiang's company went bankrupt, and his funds and real estate were confiscated by the court and auctioned off to pay off debts. The wealth accumulated by 3 generations of their Zhang family was wiped out overnight. Even so, they could barely pay off their debts. As for the Zhang family, because his grandfather was an orphan, he started from scratch. So it has always been a single generation. His grandfather only has one child, his father, and his father has only one son. Zhang Cheng's parents died in a plane crash 2 years ago. So he was the only one left in the Zhang family. Zhang fell down, leaving not a single cloud behind. But, the system had previously rewarded him 1.5 billion in cash, so Zhang Cheng could save a lot of effort to make money. The 1.5 billion in hand was enough for him to do many things. At this time, Su Yao suddenly sneered. You were so strong just now when you had no money. In the end, don't you have to fight for money? Su Yao didn't speak. She took out her mobile phone from the limited edition LV bag and touched the screen with 2 slender fingers. Buzz. Not long after, Zhang Cheng's cell phone suddenly vibrated in his pocket. When he took it out, he found that it was a text message reminder. Your account with bank card number ending in 3341 made a large value transfer through online banking and earned at 52 million.00 yuan. Zhang Cheng looked up in shock, and then saw Su Yao putting away her phone, with arrogance on her flawless and charming little face. At this time, she raised her head like a proud phoenix, and her voice was light and sweet, full of arrogance. I am short of everything else, but I am not short of money, so you sit down. Consider this money as something I lent to you. After half a year, you must pay me back 52.1 million yuan with interest. Zhang Cheng looked at Su Yao's face closely, a little speechless. Girl, that's not what I mean. When I talk about making money, I mean making a Zhang family back. Do you understand? Now I really want to ask you, what do you mean by transferring 52 million to me? Do you know what this number means? Do you know? Wrong. Suddenly, Zhang Cheng remembered that in the original book The Female CEO's Almighty Medical God, the female CEO's emotional intelligence should be 0, otherwise she would not have accepted him so quickly. In other words, this woman is easy to deceive. Zhang Cheng shook his head. He had a bold idea. Okay, I'm going to rest. You can play by yourself tomorrow. I have to go to the company to handle some things. Su Yao waved her hand, then stood up and walked upstairs to her room. As soon as she left, Zhang Cheng was the only one left in this huge living room. Glancing at the empty living room, Zhang Cheng naturally had no intention of staying here and watching TV, so he got up and returned to his room. After closing the door, Zhang Cheng immediately muttered silently. Open personal panel. The next second, a transparent light curtain appeared in front of Zhang Cheng. System, Villain System. Host, Zhang Cheng. Wealth, 1,552,066.29 yuan. Villain value, 0 points. Backpack. Attributes, Constitution, 100. Strength, 104. Reactions, 109. Speed, 95. Charisma, 149. Note, the standard for a normal adult male is 100, and the maximum charm value is 149, full. Skills, intermediate cooking, 4399/6000, shooting, entry 2100/4000, fighting, entry 3700/4000, English, advanced max, piano, master max. Special skills, suit thug. This time Zhang Cheng looked at the system interface carefully and found that it was indeed different. Zhang Cheng also had some understanding of the system's functions. This is a system that robs the protagonist of the novel of his luck and opportunities, allowing him to rewrite the story as the main villain. His current identity is the fiancé of the villain CEO, but after he robs the protagonist of his opportunity and luck, he will change from a villain to a protagonist. After all, whether it's pros or cons, or history, it's all written by the victors. If you win, don't you feel decent? Not bad. The challenge is high. After all, he was a dying person, and he was considered a good person in his previous life. This life is the world of a novel anyway, so what if you become a villain and steal other people's opportunities? It's impossible to live two lives on the same path. =========================================================================================================================Outside a mysterious members-only club in Shanghai. Zhang Cheng was wearing a custom-made black suit, and on his left wrist was a limited edition Patek Philippe worth millions. He looked up at the sign hanging horizontally on the building. A strange smile appeared on his handsome, angular face. He withdrew his gaze and stepped into the club. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 6. As soon as he entered, a waiter came forward quickly. Seeing the waiter walking towards him, Zhang Cheng took out a black gold VIP card from his suit pocket and said calmly, "This is my membership card." After taking the card, the waiter's expression suddenly changed, and he bowed and said, "Hello, distinguished black card member, please follow me this way." Zhang Cheng was not surprised by the waiter's attitude. The card in his hand was the top black card of this aristocratic club. In the entire Magic City, there are no more than 20 owners. And those who own these cards are undoubtedly the top families in the Magic City. "Well, let's go to the auction house and have a look." Zhang Cheng took back the card and nodded calmly. In fact, in the original book, Zhang Cheng owned this black card, but he rarely set foot in such places. This time he came here with some purpose. Zhang Cheng allowed the waiter to lead the way. When he arrived at the auction house, and when he first entered, his appearance attracted the surprised eyes of everyone present. No wonder they were so surprised. Because Zhang Cheng's era has passed, and now he has long lost the qualification to sit on an equal footing with everyone present. He is just a loser, reduced to an ordinary loser. However, since his black card has not been sold by the founder here, it seems that there is still something hidden. Zhang Cheng didn't pay much attention to the scrutinizing looks of this group of people. He looked around, then walked to the middle seat in the front row and sat down. Although Zhang Cheng is no longer the president of the Zhang Group, and is no longer the top third-generation rich man with a net worth of hundreds of billions, he still has a cash reward of 1.5 billion from the system. Even though he has fallen from the altar at this moment, he is still richer than everyone present. Even the rich second generation whose families have a market value of tens of billions dare not say that they can use more funds than Zhang Cheng. Therefore, he still deserves to sit in the front row. As soon as Zhang Cheng sat down, two waiters who were always here came up and placed champagne and fruit plates on the small round table in front of him. Zhang Cheng took a sip of the champagne poured by the waiter and looked around. In fact, this auction house is also called the Golden Cave. Most of the things auctioned here are precious antiques, valuable calligraphy and paintings, etc. Most of these treasures are purchased from the private sector. Of course, there are also some wealthy businessmen who are short of money and sell their collections here. In addition, there are certain special items for sale here. Zhang Cheng came here today just to see the treasures that would appear. If they were suitable, he would take action to get them. By the way, I won the property rights of today's Jiang's villa compound. Isn't that President Zhang in front? Why are you here to play today? Oh, I forgot, you are no longer the president. We, a group of ignorant and rich second-generation people, cannot reach the level of Mr. Zhang. A voice with a strong sense of ridicule sounded in the luxuriously decorated auction hall. Zhang Cheng glanced back at the person who made the noise, raised the corner of his mouth slightly, and said disdainfully, "I have a habit of not liking to talk to poor people. I want to ask, why are you, a low-income guy with very little money, coming here to watch a show? Can you afford to buy anything here?" The tone was very calm, but it was full of disdain and contempt, without any concealment. For this kind of person, there are not many things here that he can afford. He just comes in to watch the fun, so he has no right to speak. For Zhang Cheng, he made it clear that he looked down on the person who just mocked him. Even though his status has plummeted and he is no longer the president of the 100 billion group, he still has 1.5 billion in cash that can be used at any time. Zhang Cheng would not look at people like this at all. "You, what are you so proud of? Don't forget, you are not the president of some billion-dollar group now." When the young man heard Zhang Cheng's taunt, his pimpled face instantly turned red. Zhang Cheng was right, his family was just a family with billions of assets, including real estate. In this circle of rich second-generation people, he is completely at the bottom of the class. "What are you?" Suddenly, Zhang Cheng shouted loudly. "Even if I'm not the president of the Zhang Group, I can still get more than 1 billion. Can you give me one more beep? Tell me one more nonsense. Believe it or not, you can't get out of this door tonight. Zhang Cheng's voice suddenly became cold. He has no weak heart. For such a small person, you have to give him a good beating before he will know his place. Moreover, if he really wanted to take action here, there would be no problem at all. Even if he beat this man half to death, nothing would happen. The backstage of this aristocratic club is not something that such a small person can offend. Moreover, the family behind this person, to put it bluntly, Zhang Chen didn't take seriously at all. After frightening some guys with sarcastic eyes, the whole auction house became quiet. Soon, the auction began. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 7. A bald middle-aged man in a suit walked onto the auction stage with a smile. The bald middle-aged man stood on the stage, looked at the people below, and said loudly, "There are many items in the auction today, so I won't introduce myself. Everyone knows, then we will directly enter the auction process. Today's first item has some background. It is the villa compound mortgaged by the Zhang family. I don't need to say more about its value. The starting price is 180 million, the bald middle-aged man quoted directly without any hesitation. A starting price. Jiang's villa compound is the largest and most luxurious villa in Shanghai, with an area close to the size of a football field. It can be said that Mr. Zhang has put a lot of effort into this villa. There is no other villa in the entire Magic City that can compare with it. Its value is at least 300 million. The starting price of 180 million given by the bald man is completely an underestimation of the auction price. However, even so, in this auction, those who are qualified to bid for this compound are top families with strong financial resources, and ordinary people cannot afford it even if they have money. Of course, there is another possibility that she saw Zhang Chen here and wanted to see his reaction. In the original book The Female CEO's Almighty Medical God, his villa was eventually taken over by Song Qing, the heroine's brother, and later given to the protagonist Ye Tian. 200 million. While Zhang Chen was thinking, the voice of a young man with dyed yellow hair sounded leisurely. Someone took the lead, and the number of bidders began to increase. 230 million, soon, someone else started bidding. 250 million. 300 million. When there were 4 people, the bidding price was actually raised by this person by 50 million at a time. There were nearly 50 people sitting in this spacious auction room. These people are all genuine second-generation rich people. Of course, some people just reluctantly enter the circle of second-generation rich people. However, their families' assets are at least over 100 million. There are only a dozen or so people in this auction house who have the ability to bid. 350 million. Finally, a young man sitting in the corner of the front row spoke lazily while chewing an apple. As soon as he spoke, the entire auction house fell silent. Zhang Chen glanced sideways when he heard the sound, and then the corners of his mouth curved inexplicably. 370 million. As soon as Zhang Chen reported the bidding price, the silent auction house suddenly became lively again. It's fake, isn't it, that Zhang Chen is bankrupt and penniless? Can he still come up with 370 million? Nonsense, it must be true. You don't even know who owns this place. Who dares to bid randomly? Are you not afraid of being cheated? Sure enough, the boss is still the boss. Even if he falls from the altar, Zhang Cheng's worth is still out of reach for us. The levels are different. Just like our family's assets are only 1 or 2 billion, it is just a small goal for these hundreds of billions groups. Zhang Cheng seemed not to hear the discussion of this group of people and took a sip of the champagne in his glass. Mr. Zhang is worthy of being Mr. Zhang. Even if you are down and out, you will still be valued by them when you go to the Su family. You can use so much money at will at this time, Song Qing suddenly smiled and said, "By the way, you should, isn't it, because you are marrying into your wife?" Song Qing's words fell on everyone's ears. At this moment, they suddenly realized that the money in Zhang Cheng's hand was given by the Su family. No one present had much doubt about Song Qing's words. Although the Song family is not as good as the former Zhang family, it is a top family on the same level as the Su family, and the two families are sworn enemies. He must know more than them. Zhang Cheng glanced at him and said lightly, "It's okay." Song Qing hugged the young and beautiful woman next to her and smiled, "Well, I don't know how much money Mr. Zhang still has in his hand that he can use to bid. In this way, I will pay 400 million. After all, this is a magical city. Jiang's former house may not have very good feng shui, but it is the #1 villa in Shanghai. If you can't live in it after buying it, it's a good choice to keep it." Of course Zhang Chen knew what Song Qing was thinking. This guy was completely disgusting with him. Zhang Cheng's attitude towards Song Qing was not friendly in the past. Now that he is favored by the Su family, the Song family and the Su family have always been enemies, so they will naturally find ways to add some trouble to themselves. The most important thing is that these 3 to 5 billion are really not too much in Song Qing's eyes. 450 million. Zhang Cheng's face remained unchanged and his tone was calm. After Song Qing made the offer from Zhang Cheng, he immediately added 10 million, 460 million. 5 billion. When Zhang Cheng raised the price to 500 million, Song Qing chuckled, "It seems that Mr. Zhang is quite capable. That woman Su Yao is quite willing to spend money for you. I won't fight with Mr. Zhang for this house. I will give it to Mr. Zhang." He increased the price for no reason, just to make Zhang Cheng get some blood. "Want your house back?" "Sure. Just add money." Song Qing's cynicism didn't make Zhang Cheng angry. Zhang Cheng squinted his eyes and said with a faint smile, "It's okay, okay. I just went bankrupt some time ago and I went to see a doctor. He told me that my intestines and stomach were not very good. He asked me to eat more soft food. I still have a lot of money." Everyone's eyes froze while watching the show, and an idea arose in their minds. Grass. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 8. I simply don't want billion. Hearing Zhang Cheng's fluttering words, the young masters and young ladies present couldn't help but curse in secret. But after scolding him, those young men still envied him. He is probably the only one in the entire demon city who can enjoy the soft life of that woman Su Yao. Although the families of these young masters are not as good as those of the Su family and the Song family, they are not too bad. Assets of over 100 million are enough for them to live a comfortable life. If you really want this group of people to get married, they will reject it without even thinking about it. Your own hardware capabilities are pretty good, so why would you want to be a loser who comes to your door? Is it because the food at home is no longer delicious, or the girl outside is no longer beautiful? Su Yao is very beautiful, but it is completely impossible for them to get married. I can rely on my abundant financial resources to play with several school beauty goddesses. Maybe they are not as good as Su Yao, but they can be achieved by sheer quantity. Who can experience their happiness? Only Zhang Cheng, a down-and-out nobleman, would choose to marry into his wife, right? As for Song Qing, after hearing the sky-high price of 500 million quoted by Zhang Cheng, the smile on her face became brighter. Coupled with her handsome appearance, she immediately attracted the attention of many rich ladies. Although he was holding a gorgeous young woman in his arms, everyone knew that it was just for fun. It is very common in upper-class society. The third time of 500 million. The products in this auction belong to young Master Zhang. After 3 hammer blows, the bald middle-aged man said in a cheerful voice. A good start. They only bought this villa compound for 350 million, and now they have made 150 million directly. When the bald middle-aged man's voice fell, a staff member soon walked up to Zhang Cheng with the transaction slip. Zhang Cheng casually wrote a check and handed it to the waiter, and the transaction was completed. The corner of his eye glanced at Song Qing, who was sitting in the corner and smiling, and Zhang Cheng sneered in his heart. Let me lose 100 million for nothing, which is good. Originally, I was still thinking whether it would be a bit bad if I went too far and killed the Song family. Now it seems that I no longer have such a burden at all. Zhang Cheng, who is familiar with the plot of the female CEO's almighty medical god, is naturally familiar with Song Qing's setting. On the surface, this man is a gentle young man, but secretly he is definitely a scheming traitor, and he has also been involved in underground drug dealings. If he hadn't been rescued in time by the protagonist Ye Tian, this guy would have gone to jail long ago. The first item was successfully traded, and the bald middle-aged man began to auction the next items. There were 30 items in the auction this time, including a one-night stand by a second-tier actress, which was later bought by Song Qing for a high price of 900,000 yuan. This group of people has long been accustomed to the special goods auctioned at this auction house. The world is beautiful, but also very dark. What ordinary people can see is the surface. In the eyes of star chasers, those aloof goddesses who can only be seen from a distance and cannot be desecrated can be seen everywhere in the top upper-class circles. Maybe she is this young man's female companion tonight, but will be someone else's the next day. It's the same whether it's an actress or a top female internet celebrity. It's very realistic and ironic, but that's how the world is. Soon, it was time for the final auction. Two men in suits and white gloves walked up carefully holding a delicate plate. After they got down, the bald man turned around and smiled at everyone. The final auction item is the handwritten works of Huang Tingjian, a famous calligrapher of the northern Song dynasty, one of the 4 calligraphers of the Song dynasty. Dizuming. This hand scroll is 11 meters long, and the center of the painting is 8 meters long. The content is the inscription on the mainstay written by Wei Zheng, the prime minister of the Tang dynasty who Huang Tingjian most admired during his lifetime. The full text is more than 600 words. The volume contains a large number of inscriptions and seals from Jia Sidao from the Song dynasty, Xiang Yuanbian from the Ming dynasty to the Qing dynasty and the Republic of China. It is a well-deserved treasure. Without further ado, the starting price is 100 million. Each bid increase must not be less than 10 million. After the bald auctioneer introduced the final collection, the audience was silent for a moment. Immediately afterwards, everyone's eyes became very eager. The pillar inscription. If they take this and give it to their elders at home who like to collect calligraphy and paintings, it will undoubtedly increase their favor. In the upper-class society, those precious calligraphy and paintings, rare antiques and other rare treasures are the favorite things of the elderly. However, the starting price of 100 million still made most people feel depressed. Without him, I can't afford it. The starting price is 100 million. If you don't have a net worth of more than 20 to 3 billion, you really don't dare to touch this thing. However, when the starting price was announced, many people were still ready to make a move. 150 million. 180 million. 20 million. Prices have skyrocketed. Among these dozens of people, their families have a net worth of more than 20 to 3 billion yuan, and there are still many people who meet the standard. This time the bidding is done by those sitting in the front seats. At this time, a dull voice suddenly spread throughout the auction house. 350 million. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 9. 350 million. After hearing this quotation, everyone couldn't help but change their expressions. Spend 350 million for the painting. The top wealthy families have really strong financial resources. Such a huge amount makes them all a little desperate, not because of anything else, but because buying a painting is most of their entire assets. Everyone looked at Song Qing differently. If he made a bid for Zhang Cheng before, it was nothing. After all, the Zhang family courtyard is really worth the price. But now just for a painting. My old man likes to collect these antique calligraphy and paintings. When I saw a famous painting in front of me, as a junior, I still wanted to get it for him. Song Qing's faint smile contained arrogance. Now that young Master Song has taken action, I will not compete with young Master Song for this painting. That's right. After all, we can't compete. Mr. Song has strong financial resources, so we ordinary people will not fight, so as not to leave a bad impression on Mr. Song in the end. Those young men who still had the strength to compete responded with smiles after seeing Song Qing speak. Although this painting is really valuable, those old people who love calligraphy and painting will definitely pay a lot of money to get it. But when Song Qing opened his mouth, they knew they couldn't compete. The Song family had strong financial resources. If Song Qing was really determined to win, they wouldn't be able to win. Rather than leaving a bad impression in the end, it is better to retreat now and still have a good impression. Thank you very much. However, Song Qing was happy, but the bald auctioneer didn't think so. They created this top-notch calligraphy and painting just to gain a sense of elegance, but the price of this calligraphy and painting is far more than 350 million. They spent about 400 million on the auction house. Now that Song Qing is messing with her, you can imagine how they feel. However, the rules cannot be broken. Although the bald auctioneer felt unhappy, he still followed the rules. 350 million times. 350 million times. 350 million 3. 450 million. Just when the bald auctioneer thought no one was bidding, a calm voice suddenly sounded from the middle of the front row. Looking around, I saw Zhang Cheng sitting there very calmly. Song Qing, who was already smiling, thought he would be allowed to win the calligraphy and painting at a low price, but when Zhang Cheng's voice appeared, the smile on his face suddenly froze. He turned his head, looked at Zhang Chengleng and said, "It seems that Mr. Zhang still has a lot of spare money, but I don't know how much he can get out of it." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Cheng mocked him mercilessly. "Why are you talking so much nonsense? If you have money, just keep shooting. If you don't have money, just stay away and watch, okay?" You. Song Qing, who always had a smile on his face, suddenly showed dissatisfaction on his handsome face when he heard Zhang Cheng's unceremonious ridicule. He wanted to curse, but he still endured it. Let yourself give up this calligraphy and painting? Can't do it? Not to mention that he really needed this painting and calligraphy to give to the old man. Even if he didn't need it, he couldn't swallow the sigh of being ridiculed by a down-and-out Zhang Cheng. As a dignified young man of the Song family, could he still be outmatched by his financial resources? 470 million, feeling very unhappy, Song Qing put away her smile and spoke coldly. 5 billion. When Song Qing's bid came out, Zhang Cheng added it without hesitation. This move naturally attracted the attention of everyone present. "Maid, didn't you say that Zhang Cheng is bankrupt? How come you still have so much money? Could it be that the Su family gave it to him?" someone asked very curiously. As soon as he expressed his curiosity, someone beside him immediately explained, "Don't think about it. Even if he is very popular with the old man of the Su family, it is still impossible to give him more than 1 billion. This is Zhang Cheng's own money. But even so, how can he, a bankrupt person, fight against Song Cheng? Aren't he afraid of being screwed by Song Qing later? Hi, you know a hammer. If the Su family and the Song family don't deal with each other, if Zhang Cheng targets the Song family, the Su family will definitely protect him. In the original book The Female CEO Super Medical God, Song Ching indeed spent 350 million to win this top-notch calligraphy and painting. The reason why he fell in love with this main pillar inscription was because he wanted to give it to his grandfather. After all, Song Ching opened a casino and cheated many rich people. Of course, they are all upstarts with no hard background. However, an entertainment club he ran involved many upper-class celebrities, rich gentry, and some officials, which alarmed the higher UPS. The investigation started a few months ago. According to Zhang Cheng's memory of the original book, it is estimated that the network will be closed soon. This matter is very big and very serious. Therefore, after Song Ching learned this inside story, he panicked and restrained himself. However, if he wanted to settle things completely, he would have to rely on his grandfather, Song Yun's-hung, to handle the finishing touches. Otherwise, the only result waiting for Song Ching is to go to jail. Auctioning this calligraphy and painting now is Song Ching's only way to please Song Yun's-hung. In the original book, after Song Ching was rescued by the protagonist Ye Tian and his grandfather, he gave the Zhang family compound that he took to Ye Tian. But now that Zhang Cheng is here, Song Ching raised the price when he bid for the Zhang family courtyard, giving him an extra RMB 100 million. Zhang Cheng would not let Song Ching win this main pillar inscription so easily. Zhang Cheng, are you deliberately trying to make things difficult for me? At this time, Song Ching also stopped smiling and looked at Zhang Cheng with a gloomy face. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 10. However, how could Zhang Cheng take his threat seriously? How can second young master Song say that? Isn't it true that the auction items in the auction house always go to the highest bidder? Could it be that you, second young master Song, can't let others bid normally? Zhang Cheng said with a smile. Or is it that you, Mr. Song, don't take the rules set by this club seriously? After hearing the next sentence, Song Ching's anger suddenly decreased a little. The identity of the founder of this club is much more terrifying than him. His status and financial resources are much higher than that of his own family. If he offends this person, he will never be able to inherit the Song family in his lifetime. Snort. Song Ching snorted coldly, stopped bickering with Zhang Cheng, and continued to bid, 530 million. But as soon as he made a quotation, Zhang Qingli immediately followed suit, 580 million. Click. Veins appeared faintly on Song Ching's forehead. The cash he can use now is about 700 million. He didn't take pictures of several products he liked when he met them. In other words, he spent hundreds of thousands to get the actress. He left all the money behind for the finale of the pillar inscription. Now that Zhang Cheng was causing trouble, Song Ching felt very angry. The beautiful woman who was leaning against him couldn't help but huddle in his arms and didn't dare to interfere. 600 million, Song Ching suppressed his anger and shouted out 600 million. Now he really has a grudge against Zhang Cheng. 650 million, the moment Song Ching shouted, Zhang Cheng raised another 50 million. Zhang Cheng is happy now. I don't care about the Song family. Anyway, he is alone now, with the Su family behind him. He really doesn't believe that you, Song Ching, can make the Song family gather fire to deal with the Su family. Hearing that Zhang Cheng came to raise the price again, Song Ching couldn't help but squeeze the woman's hand. Although the beautiful woman was in pain, she still did not dare to make any sound. She was afraid that Song Ching would get angry and slap her. She didn't have any great background, she was just a college belle who was taken aback by Song Ching and spent 200,000 to break open her legs. 700 million, at this time, Song Ching didn't hold back anymore and directly shouted out the bottom line price. If Zhang Cheng continues to fight with him, then don't do it. But he will definitely target Zhang Cheng until his death. As soon as the sky-high price of 700 million was announced, the silent audience immediately went into an uproar. Although this calligraphy and painting is precious, its highest price is about 400 million. Now it has been raised to 700 million, which is already twice its own value. At this time, Zhang Cheng stopped talking and took a sip of champagne with a smile, waiting for the auctioneer's hammer to fall. Soon, 3 hammer sounds sounded. The transaction price of the pillar inscription is 700 million. The winner is number 5 young master Song Qing Song. The bald auctioneer's voice reached Song Qing's ears. Song Qing only felt like a taunt, mocking herself for being stupid. Although I have a lot of money, this is not how I use my money. If it weren't for the fact that he had really gone through the trouble this time, he wouldn't have taken this calligraphy and painting at all. Song Qing didn't feel any joy after taking the picture. Her face was as gloomy as water, and she looked at Zhang Cheng with a cold look. Zhang Cheng didn't care about his change. Originally, you didn't come to me for trouble, so I didn't even bother to target you. Now everyone has suffered losses. You cost me 1.5 billion, but now you only have 400 million more. You still owe me a debt of 1.1 billion. Pay it back slowly. Yes, since you haven't faced the protagonist yet, let's start with you, Song Qing. Anyway, this guy has quite a lot of dirty stuff. If I spend some time to get you Song Qing, just think of it as collecting some money. The grand finale was auctioned off, and everyone left the venue. After Song Qing paid the bill, he took the room card handed over by the waiter with both hands, without any expression on his face. Before leaving, Song Qing looked back at Zhang Cheng, then put her arms around the enchanting school beauty and entered the elevator. It seems that he wants to find some sense of presence on these two women and vent his feelings. Zhang Cheng left the auction hall. As for the property rights procedures for his villa compound, these were all handled by people from the Noble Club. He just had to wait. As soon as he left the door, a middle-aged man suddenly blocked his way. Mr. Zhang, our boss has invited you. The middle-aged man stood in front of Zhang Cheng and said respectfully. Who? Zhang Cheng said calmly. Mr. Qin. Qin Meng. What is he looking for me for? Zhang Cheng smiled and asked. The middle-aged man shook his head and said, Mr. Zhang will find out when he goes there. Lead the way. Following the footsteps of the middle-aged man, Zhang Cheng took the exclusive elevator to the top floor of the club. Standing at the door of an office, a middle-aged man opened the door for him and made a gesture, Mr. Zhang, please come in. Zhang Cheng did not hesitate and stepped directly into the office. When he entered, the man closed the door. This office is very spacious and contains many precious items. The entire floor-to-ceiling window shows the bustling city night scene. Sitting in front of a desk was a handsome young man. When Zhang Cheng stepped forward, the handsome young man turned around, looked at him and smiled, Zhang Cheng, long time no see.